Hi again then guys, and welcome to yet another Le Mans prototype setup for Gran Turismo Sport. And of course, as with all of the others, it's a good point of reference to take these cars around Lasat to see what they're capable of. Especially in comparison to each other, of course. This is even faster, actually, than my Peugeot 908 setup, and so far, at least if you discount Vision GT cars, this is my quickest traditional prototype car around Le Mans. It can do a 2:46 lap. Now, it's only about 0.3 of a second quicker than my Audi R18, and I am going to do a tune setup for that one as well, so of course stick around for that. But this one is of course a fan favourite, for good reason. The LM55 has always been kind of an OP vehicle, but funnily enough, the performance is still slower despite the fact that you can make it more powerful now, which is interesting, but of course speaks to the fact that for the most part the game is more realistic. Now, as far as the upgrades, of course, for the maximum potential, you want to drop the weight and increase the power, but, as with all of my other prototype tunes, you can still use this without upgrading the car. It is balance and performance friendly, as long as you don't do the upgrades, of course, so if you do them, it will be even quicker. Now, as far as traction control, you can definitely turn it off with this car. You've got the all-wheel drive. It's really easy to use. As far as the tyres, I've got racing hards on this one because, again, softs are kind of overkill with all-wheel drive. It will be even quicker with them though, so of course that's down to you. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height on 65mm, frequency on 4, anti-roll on 5, compression on the dampers I've got on 56, with 85 on the rebound, neutral camber, neutral toe, downforce as low as possible, and of course that is optimised for Lasat. In particular, on other circuits you might want to give it a bit more. Of course, you will lose some top speed though. As far as the diff, I've got the lowest settings for everything. That keeps it nice and loose. It doesn't spin out or oversteer much, if at all. It's actually a really nice handling car, but many of you know that anyway, of course. And as far as the gearbox, of course, it will vary depending on how much power you've got. But what I've gone for allows it to do 273 miles per hour, and I know you can get it a bit quicker than that. I've heard people say around 276, 277, which it can certainly do. It was even quicker than that on Gran Turismo 6. It could do 290 on that game, but it's not a top speed tune. It's a circuit tune, so the top speed being a little bit lower doesn't matter too much. So if you do want to try and make it go even quicker, by all means do so. If you raise the front end, lower the back end, that kind of stuff, that can all add to it. But I wanted to keep the handling intact as much as possible. It's not just a straight line machine. Now, as far as the individual gears, or in fact, first of all, the auto setting, you want the highest possible, 249. Then for the individual gears, I've got 3075, 2075, 1575, 1260, 1060, 930, and 840, with, as you can see, that final drive of 3. Now, with all of these tunes, as I say, or as I've said before, if you do need it to have more draft potential, or slipstream, in other words, then you might want to lower that final drive a little bit more, say to 2950 or 2.9, because you will top out, because it's not designed for draft, it's designed to be fast on its own. So, of course, you need to bear that in mind. But that's it for the tuning side of things. So now what you want to see, of course, is the kind of lap and the kind of driving that this can do in action. Now, as I said, of course, the LM55, ever since it was included, first of all, on GT6, it made a name for itself very quickly because it combined the raw potential, the raw ability of something like a Peugeot 905 or a Mazda 787B, but then brought it into modern times with that unreal twist to it of the Vision GT program, with all-wheel drive, which of course wouldn't be allowed in this kind of sense, but it made it a car that people love to use. It's very beginner-friendly, very forgiving, but at the same time, not just forgiving, it's actually really competitive as well. And in terms of lap times, well, as you'll see toward the end of this video, it can run extremely quickly. 2:46.3 was my personal lap. As always, that is with racing hards, auto gearbox, and a controller. So if you upgrade those options to manual, better tyres, of course you use a wheel, then you can definitely get it to go even quicker, maybe 243, 242, something like that, depending on the driver, probably even quicker in some cases. But either way, it's extremely fast, and it's also really easy to use. Whereas for beginners, you might find something like a Peugeot 905 or an Audi R18 to be a little bit more twitchy. With this one, that's not a problem. So if you do decide to use this tune for the Group 1 version, I hope you have a ton of fun with it. And of course, if you haven't already, you'll want to check out my other tunes for the 908. I'm going to do the R18 as well, the Sauber C9, various other Group C cars. And of course, you can stick around on the channel to see those. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.